I think that Lenny probably, subsidizes his parents' life in some capacity.
Yeah.
So we have the mother saying this. Then we have her pinning the comment, and we also have Lenny responding to comments saying like, "Oh, she just wants you for your money," and Lenny saying, "You wish you had as much money as I do." So, okay, which is funny.
Good comeback, Lenny.
Yeah. So it's funny because the other thing we know from when Michelle Dempsey was on our pod was Michelle said, listen, his practice is not doing well. Nobody's going to his practice. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers and Amanda?
Hi, cocktailers, and hi, B. Okay, so we could start in a couple of places, but I feel like one of the big hot topics that everybody wanted to talk about during our Zoom, for our cocktail party Zoom this week, was Lenny from Real Housewives of Miami, who is married, or I guess is still married, to Lisa. And he proposed to his mistress on Lisa's birthday. And Lisa, who is still married to Lenny. So he now has a wife and a fiance. And we then see, is it Katarina? Katarina. We see Katarina, the mistress, now fiance, post a video, which was, I would say, a little jaw-dropping.
I mean, okay, so initially it was shocking, right? I happened to be home scrolling, and the great thing about having this account is the second something is posted, somebody sends it to me. So if you guys are wondering, like, how do you always get stuff so quick? It's because of that. Like, if I'm on it, somebody's already sending it to me. Okay, I get it. And I said this on our cocktail party Zoom. The first thing that struck me was how childlike she looked. It kind of disturbed me. She had this baby doll dress on. She just looked like a kid. Everyone was going wild about his sneakers, which I didn't even notice because my mind was going, wait, are they even divorced yet?
Yeah. Classy move. Really classy.
So, of course, I start getting messages. So, just suffice to say, South Florida knows Lenny. South Florida followers know Lisa. And what they're telling me is that forget about him cheating on her. Forget about all of what he's doing, which is so mean. The reason behind it is because Lenny is and has been for many years very jealous of Lisa. They said that all mutual friends, his staff, they all prefer her. They love her. Since splitting, they've all taken her side. So that's a huge piece of it. Amanda, if it wasn't, did we say it was her birthday? I don't know if it was her birthday the day after, the week of. It was a calculated move. She was on vacation with her new handsome boyfriend, seemingly treats her well. A combination of his jealousy for her and anger that she's moved on and is so happy, obviously was too much for him to handle. So he went and he got a lab diamond.
Wait. Okay.
We don't know that. We don't know that. We don't know.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
Okay, cocktailers who are also gemologists. I know there's got to be one out there. Like, we're calling you in. The bat signal is up. Like, we need you to weigh in on this ring and like take a really hard look and look at it, because I did some research. I guess it's 10 carats. If it is real, then that ring is more likely to be somewhere close to $500,000 ring.
Yes. Which is ridiculous.
So, cocktailer gemologist, like, let's look at it. But I want to kind of go back to, so Lisa had been posting that she was in Paris with her new boyfriend, right?
Yes.
And Lenny goes and does this. And like, if you've seen the pictures or you've seen the videos, guys, of Lenny and the mistress engagement, she knows it's going to happen, right? Like, they do it on this cliff. Like, it's pretty clear she knows what's happening. So it's hard to say if it was always his diabolical plan to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna really stick it to my wife, and I'm
Right.
gonna ask my mistress to marry
Well,
me on my wife's birthday.
Lisa posted somewhere that they were already engaged when that video was taken. Again, I don't know how she knows that, but yeah.
So one of the things, and like, don't worry, cocktail party, like the stuff that we talk about in the Zoom really does stay in cocktail party, but we've heard, it came up there, it's come up in comments, it's come up in stuff, is like, why would, if you as the person who cheated you've moved on and you're getting, like, why would you even care what Lisa is doing? But it's absolutely like part of like the narcissistic personality, right? And I apologize, guys, I'm not a psychologist. This is the word that I keep hearing used, that of course they care, because they want the wife, he wants Lisa to be miserable. It pisses him off that she's happy and that she's moving on, and he wants to have all the happiness, and he wants her to be miserable, essentially.
That's basically what I take it all to mean. His mother. I mean, we know. And so his mother went on the post, which, by the way, I don't know. Oh, it must have been Katarina that pinned it. So, on Instagram, you can pin a comment.
Comments, yeah.
And so she pinned it, his mother's comment, which said, not, oh, congratulations. It said, good, because good, because your old girl didn't care about you and your old wife didn't love you and this girl loves you. Like, again, so the mother is making it about her. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
I just, okay, now the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We said a while ago, I think that Lenny probably, subsidizes his parents' life in some capacity.
Yeah.
So we have the mother saying this. Then we have her pinning the comment. And we also have Lenny responding to comments saying, like, oh, she just wants you for your money. And Lenny saying, you wish you had as much money as I do. So, okay, which is funny.
Good comeback, Lenny.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because the other thing we know from when Michelle Dempsey was on our pod was Michelle said, listen, his practice is not doing well. Nobody's going to his practice. Women are not going to see him after he treated his wife of a decade this way. And most of the people getting tummy tucks and breasts are women. But what she did tell us was that he also owns property. She's like, he has money, and it's not only from his practice, the money coming in from surgeries and stuff. It's also he owns the buildings that his practice and med spa are in, and he owns other buildings. But what we know is that if rents are coming in, okay, that's good money. What I'm hearing is bills are going unpaid. Okay, I can't say anything more specific than that. So yeah, it's great to own a building and to get that residual income. But if you have a lot of bills, you're going to have to liquidate that. The same way as if you have stocks and bonds and whatever, you're going to have to liquidate that to pay your bills. So there's a whole financial aspect that we're hearing is going on. But how do you,
Interesting.
and you said something on the pod, and maybe you could say, on the Zoom, how do you say, I can't afford the lifestyle Lisa wants, but then get a ring that we're made to believe is worth $500,000?
Right. Because if it's real, I mean, that is most likely what it costs, just based on my trusty Google research. Part of the reason I want to know if this ring is real or not, because so there's this whole, well, let's back up.
Excuse me, I'm dying.
Are you?
I'm not really dying. I just chugged purified drinking water, which is why it's much safer to just drink Loverboy. It went down the wrong pipe. I'm alive.
Okay. All right, good. Well, I want to. This is part of the other reason I'm wondering if this ring is real, and we kind of need to back up because, and then I want to come back to this whole like financial thing. But this whole her making out with like on this trip, like within days of the
Oh, that's
engagement,
the
she was
other.
making out with a woman, and so like, hold on a
So that
second.
was cocktail party, Amanda. So some listeners
Oh,
may not know. So when
sorry.
they got engaged, we were sent pictures of them from a club. We weren't able to share all of the pictures because the person was unable to crop out, like the friend was in it. But the night before they got engaged, well, the night before they were on the cliff with the ring and the baby doll dress and the Air Force One sneakers or whatever they were that teenagers
Oh,
wear.
is that what they are?
No, I
Oh my
just made that
god.
up. I don't know.
Because my kids just both got them for school, and we
I
were
don't
like,
think they were
they
Air
love
Force.
me embarrassing them. And I was like, you guys don't know that Nelly song, do you? And they're like,
Yeah.
what? And so we're like walking, and I like, like we're walking home from dinner, and I like start playing it, and, like dancing in the street. They're like, Mom, you're so embarrassing.
Well, I always tell my kids everything that's old is new again because I see what they're
Yeah,
wearing and I'm like, oh my God,
I know. Isn't that funny?
it's great. But what we also found out was she was in a club making out with a woman and he was there, like cheering it on. That was what the email said. And then in the comments, something else she commented, somebody wrote, I thought you were a lesbian. And she said, he doesn't make me choose.
Right.
So
Okay.
then it brings us to the next email. Okay, wait, finish your thought and then we'll go to the next.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. So I'm like, okay, total conspiracy theory from me, right? So alert everybody, I could just be making this up. So if you're Lenny and you have a very expensive divorce and you're not paying some of your bills and you're still married, but you realize that you have taken a really big hit reputation wise because of all the shit that you've done and like you're not very well liked in public opinion. Is this a possible misguided attempt to try to turn the whole mess into some goodwill? Like we would say with the whole, Rochelle and Sandoval thing, well, their only redemption path really is to stay together, have a baby, and like kind of make it work, and then people might actually cheer for them, right? And so I'm like, is Lenny thinking the same thing? Like, do I try to make this? Because my question is like, if like who buys a $500,000 ring for a woman that and asks them to marry them when she clearly is not faithful?
I get it. And the thing about it is I totally get your point and it's interesting because I just looked at my DMs and someone sent me a statement he made to Us Weekly, which totally vouches for what you're saying. Because the
Oh.
reality is a guy like this, yes, this Katerina, she's young, she's beautiful. Sadly, there are a lot of girls like her on the come up that want money, that want things that he can move on to. So for him to marry her, it is like he's trying to legitimize this situation.
Right.
So his statement says to Us Weekly, I want to clear up some things. For 2 years prior to telling Lisa I wanted a divorce, my life was miserable. I was treated like a servant, not a partner. I was nothing more than an ATM machine to her, funding her party lifestyle and her constant need for material things. And to that I say, thank goodness he moved on to somebody who doesn't care about material things.
Yeah. That like 1 carat diamond she has.
You know what my question is? My question in looking at this whole picture, and I guess it's a question we can ask for so many relationships. They had a second child who is not much older than two. And not the most recent season, the season before when they rebooted Miami, Lenny was telling her that he would like to have a third child. So if it's true that they had such a bad relationship and that for 2 years he wanted this divorce and she knew about it, first of all, why not do the right thing and split prior to starting a relationship? Because it's public. We know that they started that relationship before.
Well, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just do the honorable thing. If you're really that miserable, end it, move out, and then do your thing. Don't do it while you're still in the marriage. Don't blindside your partner.
And so we're not going to see him. I'm assuming we're not going to see him on this next upcoming season. I'm sure he didn't sign on.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see. Who knows? Maybe he does want to tell his side of the story. The other thing that we hear over and over in emails and DMs, and Amanda, you know this, is that everybody says part of the reason he's jealous is that he wasn't known as the boob god. Prior to the Miami, I'm not saying that he didn't have a plastic surgery practice that was lucrative. Many plastic surgeons are lucrative and are not
Right.
like known people. She made him like he
Yeah.
enjoyed the show. He wanted to be on the show. That's good for business. We see it. We see it with Dubrow. We see it with Bill
Yeah.
Aiden. We saw it. There was a show long ago. It was called not that long ago, but it was only one season. It was called Secrets and Wives, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was about wealthy Long Island people. And my friend actually worked. My best friend worked at the spa that one of the main women, Corey, worked at. But there was a plastic surgeon on it, and his name was Dr. Greenberg. I had never heard of him before. And let me tell you something. Once he was on that show, so many people that I knew or friends of friends were going to Dr. Greenberg.
Yeah.
So it works. And honestly, if I were going to have work done, why wouldn't I go to the guy? Okay, now off track, but do you remember years ago, I believe it was on E! Entertainment, that doctor, I believe he was Brazilian, handsome man, and he had a very pretty young wife. They were both young, and he was a plastic surgeon. It was all about him. It may have been about a couple of other plastic surgeons too. I think his name was Robert. His name was Robert.
I remember a show about plastic surgeons. I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about, but
And this was many years ago. And I remember being like, Robert Ray. His name was Robert Ray. And he was on Dr. 90210. Yeah, it was a bunch of them. You had Jason
Yes.
Diamond, who also
Yes,
is a big
yes,
name
yes.
now. He does, I think, Kim Kardashian and all them. And I remember saying to myself, if I ever did anything, I would go to Dr. Robert Ray, because you see him on TV and obviously he's doing good work. This is back in 2004, so this is a long time ago for all you youngsters.
yes, but we are longtime reality fans because I 100% remember that show.
Yep. Yep.
So
He's still
you
married
know-
to his wife. That makes me happy.
Oh, that's good. Well, and you guys, I've said this on the pod before, but again, like if anybody is if Lisa, if you are listening, if anybody is friends with Lisa, honestly, like I know that like part of all of what you're doing right now is like going through all the financials and all of that. Like chart it out. Like look at the business before Lisa went on Miami and then look at the business after. And I think you have a very, very, very good argument that there is, some percentage in that part of the business because of Lisa that Lisa should be entitled to because she did that too.
Right.
Like that was her. And that I think would be, again, me with my, my legal degree from my closet. It seems to me there is a strong argument, and I would look at it, and I think there's also like looking at that trend, and like there's some argument to be made there that so much of his success is because of her. Back to your point. So I hope that
Yeah.
she's fighting that fight.
And to solidify him doing this in an attempt to look better, we also do have that email, which was also a cocktail party, that he was seeing somebody else regularly while he had both Lisa, they're going through their divorce, and his girlfriend. And he was very into her. And she ultimately ended it with him because she probably was like, why am I with a guy who has both a wife and a girlfriend? But the gist of it is he is sometimes he's somehow trying to legitimize his current situation. And I don't think it's going to work for him. I mean, it may work in the court of law. It's not going to work in the court of opinion. And I don't know what judge is going to be like, oh, good, you got engaged while you're still married.
If this Katerina person came off as more of a sweetheart and more of less OnlyFans Instagram model, more like, could be a great wife and mother and really wants to stand by Lenny and really wants to see this through. If she were more like that, I feel like they could maybe get there, right? Because
Right.
I could see if only Lenny had done this the right way, right? I could also see the benefit of having a younger wife who becomes part of a younger network of, people, and, helps bring in a whole new wave of business.
Right.
But I feel like he has chosen wrong at every step, including this woman, because I will never, like, as I think about things that get burned into my brain for eternity, like seeing that woman's tongue
Oh,
when she did that whole like licking her lips on the video when like Lisa goes and confronts them,
yes.
that it will never leave my brain. And like I think he chose wrong. And like if you're really trying to like have somebody like help legitimize you so you can get into a better place with the court of public opinion, like maybe have your fiance make out with other people in private.
Yes, and don't go to Carbone with a harem of women and you, and they're all over you. I mean, the reality is this: this girl is fine with threesomes and other girls, and she's fine with whatever it is as long as she's the main and she gets all the presents, and they can get their little tokens of affection, but she gets the main. The other thing is, so in the picture, she had that 10-carat ring and she had a diamond bracelet. If either of those were real, I don't think he would have sent her to a third world country for teeth, because he got her those fake teeth, and not only
right. I
that, she did an
forgot about that.
Instagram promotion for the doctor. And I don't want to even say which country because I don't remember which country, but it was somewhere in South America and not in the United States. And when you're a surgeon in the United States, generally you use dentists in the United States. I wonder if he did his facelift in the US or his teeth in the US or he went to South America. So let's just say that his intention is himself, as it always has been.
Right. I mean, for the record, I actually think his facelift looks really good. I mean,
It does.
I mean, if I'm being just trying to be as objective as possible here, I think he actually looks, it looks like he's, you know, lost some weight and just nipped and tucked and all of that. I was actually wondering this. You know how like hairstylists and like nail people or like lash artists will like trade, they'll do trade with each other?
Yes,
Do you think plastic surgeons do that with each other? They'll be like, I'll
I'm
do your face
sure.
if you do mine.
Oh, I'm sure. Why wouldn't you? They, listen, if you're in that industry, I'm sure you want to keep up. Although I have to say, it doesn't look like Terry Dubrow has had anything done. I don't know if Bill has had anything done.
I think he's definitely, I don't
Yeah.
know. Fillers at least. There's a lot
Oh,
of fillers going on with him.
he kept his original nose, which is a choice. He's a nice guy, though. Bill Aiden, I'm sure, does Botox fillers. Clearly, his teeth. I think he probably did a little hair, whatever they do to get thicker hair. I listen.
Do
I
you think
think.
he has lip fillers belated?
Oh, it's possible. I also don't think there's anything wrong. Listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with
No.
any of it. Whatever he has, I think is done very tastefully. I think
Yeah.
he's probably close to 50, right? Jen's 45, 46, and he's probably a few years older than her, so he must be
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I, like, we are both very open about loving, and
Yes.
like they're us going on our 2 3 week long trip where we come back looking very refreshed.
Did I tell you in the cocktailers that I did try Dice for it? I know I told you I was and you said you
Oh,
liked it.
I
And
love Dysport.
love it better. I don't know. I don't know if it's that like my face got used to Botox. Full disclosure, I'm 40. Got started Botox for the first time I was 32, and I didn't get it like regularly then. I think from
Yeah.
about like 36, 37, I started getting it every 6 months, and now with Botox it started becoming less and less, and my injector said that now with this I probably will be able to stretch it out because it's like anything else. Like the first time you ever drink, you feel it right away, and if you
Yeah.
keep drinking, you need more to feel it, kind of thing.
So the reason I like Dysport, I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's known to be for certain people like who metabolize
Yes.
Botox faster, especially for people who work out regularly. It
Yep.
unfortunately has a bad effect on your Botox. And so that's why I like it, because it just lasts longer for me. Like I
Yeah.
am now like on the dot, because my person who I absolutely love, she only does Botox because she's like the math is really different with Dysport. And like I'm like loyal to her because I feel like having a really good injector is the most important thing, but we are
Totally.
like on the dot every 3 months.
Oh, so you still do the Botox then?
I still do, yeah, because of her. Because now that
Right.
I found her, I'm like, she comes to my house, like she,
Yeah,
like
that's nice.
she's fantastic, fantastic. And so I'm like, it's so much more important to me to have somebody like that who I trust, and she's never like, she's not one of those people who like is heavy-handed. Like she's like, I'd rather
My
come
girl
back,
too, right.
yeah,
She's like,
and
do a
like
little
do
bit,
it
and if it's
again,
not enough, you'll come back.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even though I'm like, freeze me, just freeze me, please.
I always remember like a couple days before I have an event, and I'm like, shit, it takes 10 days to really set in.
Yeah, no, and I do it with a friend now too, and she's like super on it. So like I
That's
know,
good.
like I don't even have to like ask, because she'll be like, "Okay, it's time. What day are we doing it?" So like
Yes.
I would say I stay mostly frozen now. But yeah. Anyway, so when we're like being catty about men getting fillers in their lips and stuff, it's not because we don't approve, because we approve of all of it.
I
It's
approve of all,
just
I don't have
all of it.
any, I pass no judgment. If I don't have a procedure done, it's because I'm scared, not because I judge people who do it.
Yeah, like which I don't remember when we were talking about boob jobs, but like that's why I'm like boob jobs, like I just, you have to have them redone every like 10 years, I think. And like
I'm
that's why I was like, no, thank you.
I'm always jealous. I'm going away. I know I'm going to be jealous when I'm sitting on the beach and I see the perky boobs. Because even if you have boobs, which we both do, when you're 40 and you've had a couple kids, they don't sit right. And when you see the ladies who get the boobs, they look great. Other than the bathing suit thing, I feel like it's fine. But in a bathing suit, come on. But I'm just too scared. I don't like the idea of a foreign object. Again, not judging anybody. I think they
Yeah,
look amazing. I get scared. I get
I
scared because
agree.
I'm like something in my body. Like I'm such a klutz. I'll probably rupture it. I'll be like, oh, let me try to go down this water slide. Pop.
Yeah,
I'll be.
I also, I have a unique perspective when it comes to boobs, where had much I had a smaller rib cage and much larger boobs, because I know I've gone to the same like lingerie shop since like before I got married, which was ages ago, like what, 15 years ago. And so then after having kids, I go back and they re-measure me, and the lady, she just looks at me, she's like, "Oh honey, I'm so sorry, because my rib cage got so much bigger and my boobs got way smaller." But I was happy because I used to have to like double strap myself in to work out, and I don't have to anymore. And so I'm like, I love it. Like I'm perfect with my much smaller. I'm perfectly happy with it. So
I like that for
anyway,
you.
thank you.
I feel like when your boobs are big, you're always like feeling like you're looking heavier. One of my closest friends had huge boobs and she's very petite and she got a breast reduction and they look fantastic. And she was never heavy, not even a little bit. But when she walked in, it just looked like she lost weight. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
even tell right away that it was the boobs, unless, of course, I knew. But I don't think your average, like somebody at work that would see her would just think she lost weight, you know?
Yeah, because like unless you have everything perfectly tailored,
Right.
it's just weighing you. So I have a friend who went through that too, which by the way, I think unfortunately recovery for a boob reduction is way worse than recovery for a boob job.
Somebody
I have
told
two
me
friends who have
once,
recently got them, and like
yeah.
boob jobs.
Oh, they say it
And I
feels
have
like a
multiple
truck
friends
is
who,
on you.
yeah, and so that's exactly it. Like the reduction was way longer and harder and like less, you couldn't do much. And then like the two people like I who have recently got them, like both were like out and about within 2 days. Crazy. So
I know that there's some ways, like if they go under the, all of this is making me want them. So let's change the subject. And who knows? After this week on the beach, I might come back and be like, Amanda, can Larry fill in? Because I'm going to finally get it done.
well, I know who you're not going to.
I know who I'm not going to. I wouldn't go. Do you think I should go to Bill Aiden?
No, well, I don't know. I want to go to Tamara Judge's person when the time comes to touch the face. I want to go to
Oh,
her,
yes.
Dr. Ambe.
Or if
Like
we ever
I
find out who Luann's person is.
her yeah, her work is so good. And Sonia got that lower facelift too, and hers looked fantastic. That's like the thing. It's just the lower, which
Yes.
I'm like I can, yeah. Like we might just, you guys might hear us do the podcast a couple weeks, so we might sound a little medicated, but
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let's talk about the Kyle and Morgan stuff. Like,
It's so confusing. So I asked my source, and again, they said to me they're dating. They called it a relationship, not an affair. So this is my thing. Who asked for a documentary on a young country singer that none of us heard of until Kyle and her were hanging out?
mhm.
Could it be true? Now, again, my source did say yes, they're in a relationship. Could it be true that she is some sort of relation to Kyle? Meaning, we got that email that said it
Mm,
was a half sister. Could it be a half sister, a cousin, a niece? In other words, somehow her father had a relationship with a woman who somehow Morgan is an offspring of that. To me, that would make a documentary worth seeing. A follower shared with me that Morgan has Tourette's, which certainly is interesting, don't mistake me, but I don't need to watch her in that documentary.
yeah, I mean, I will try to keep an open mind about this documentary, but again, like, why are we making a documentary about a 20-year-old country singer who nobody heard of before Kyle? I don't know what sticks. We had, like, there's that guy who did the video this week who's in Aspen. He's like, I met them. They were lovely. They are very much together.
Yeah.
And so, like, then the source is saying relationship, that they're related. I don't even know what to think. I really don't.
Okay. So if I'm thinking this through, and if the source is right that they're dating, my guess is we know the cameras went back up and they filmed Mauricio and Kyle. I think we're going to see Mauricio and Kyle discuss Kyle's relationship with Morgan. And guys, this is just my opinion, not that anyone told me this. I think if Kyle is with her romantically, Mauricio is also with someone. This is my theory. I think that he will go public with whomever he's with around reunion time. The reason I think this is because there's a lot of pros to this. Kyle doesn't look like she was left for another woman. Mauricio isn't so much of a bad guy that his businesses are destroyed, right? Because
Right. It's
that's
important.
affects their whole family.
Right.
This is just my theory. And the reason I say that is because I could be wrong and people change. We have always seen Kyle ride so hard for Mauricio that it's hard for me to believe that she got into a relationship with someone and left her marriage without Mauricio having had done something. I could be off that he's in a relationship. Maybe he was doing something which led her to go with Morgan. And now she's really invested in Morgan and she's saying to him, sorry, like too late. You're the one. But I think that he did something. And I wouldn't be surprised if around reunion time, we find out that, yeah, they're split and they're amicable as can be, as you possibly can be. And he's in a relationship where he's just openly dating people, women. And she is
Hmm.
with Morgan. And whether that relationship lasts or whether it's, a rebound and she moves on to someone else, male or female, whatever it is. I personally don't find it weird for a woman who was married for many years to fall in love with the woman. I think we've seen it before. I think it's something that happens. I
I've seen
do,
it in people like very close to me,
yes.
literally very close to me, where now like the woman is now married to another woman, and she had been married to her husband for like 15, 20 years, and now she's, like in a committed marriage, like the rest of her life to a woman. So I definitely think it happens.
The only thing that I am sticking to is that don't find it weird at all. Do think that something happened with Mauricio to push Kyle to go there. Would you agree with that, or what's your thought?
Yes, I would agree. I think, we've heard whispers for a long time that there had been things hadn't always been on the up and up within that marriage from Mauricio's side, but never any proof, never anything that like was really shareable, so we didn't, right? But there's been whispers.
And I never really wanted to
Um,
believe it. Like I always and I
right.
always would say, and I've said on here, when someone shows me a picture, like I'll talk about it, but I really didn't. But now with all of this, it changes the scope.
Yeah. And so I think that, if this were a situation where Kyle kind of looked the other way, something happened where she couldn't look the other way anymore, right? And
That's my
then
feeling.
that's what would have tipped her over. Because I don't know. I go to a couple things. One is there was also that picture from I think this week when they were in Aspen, where Morgan is literally sitting in Kyle's lap.
Yes. And
I
then we
don't.
got a picture of the next day of Kyle and Mauricio at a restaurant. Now, in the
Yeah.
picture, they were just standing next to each other, but the follower who sent it said they were cuddled up. So it's just like a total mind. Could she really have a thing with Morgan right now? But also, maybe her and Mauricio will get back together, but she's kind of like on the offense is the best defense because Mauricio's affair is going to break. And if that's the case, why hasn't it broke yet? Unless it's a relationship.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say, but I guess I don't have him in my lap. Like it looks romantic to me.
Right.
Just I don't that is not a position that I sit in even with my girlfriends unless
No.
you're like just doing a
Unless
quick
your niece is a
picture.
child.
Yeah. Yeah, right? And so like I don't know. I find that but you know what's so ironic? I just realized cuz I was thinking I'm like gosh, they've been married Kyle and Mauricio have been married for 27 years and that is almost how old Morgan is.
Oh my God.
Their marriage is about as old as she is. That's
Wow.
crazy. But, I guess because what I was going to say is like at the end of the day, like they had, if things end, right? They had a 27-year marriage. They've had all these kids. They've built this beautiful life. Like people split up. It happens. And like, it's not anything to be ashamed of. It's not anything to even like you don't want to denigrate all of the beautiful things that happened and came out of that marriage as well. I think there's something very interesting and a real story around why they aren't telling us what's really happening. Because like if
Yeah.
she is dating Morgan, they're not telling us and they're letting us speculate is it a family member? Like they're not saying anything. Like there's a real story there that hopefully we'll get to find out the why behind all of this craziness.
And again, I can't imagine that Kyle could be so in love with her that she finds her life interesting for a documentary. So something, it's either a relationship or a relation, like a blood relation, because
Yeah.
otherwise there's no need for a documentary. I'm not sure there's a need with either of those two things, but
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But I do think that it's going to be good for Beverly Hills ratings. So,
yes,
there's always that.
there's
And
always
maybe
that. Everyone's got
maybe
to bring
money.
everyone's got to bring that Scandival energy. And this
Yeah.
definitely, I mean, and we because of our membership site and our website, we see traffic and I can tell you Scandival was certainly the biggest spike we've ever seen, and the Kyle Mauricio situation was a close second. So it's working.
Yeah. Yeah, for
It's
sure.
working.
Okay, so we know Summer House has been filming. Like they usually go, I think, right until about Labor Day, I think. So they're probably like right in the middle of everything. I know you've been hearing some stuff.
I've been hearing some stuff. So we had originally been told that Sam would be part-time, but she hasn't been to the house yet, according to my source. And then I actually noticed on Instagram yesterday, she posted a vlog of like her and Corey when he came to visit, but it's from a couple weeks ago. She said something like she's had a lot of good stuff happen, but a lot of bad stuff, and she needed time to herself, and she went to Florida. I am trying to get to the it of why she wasn't on it all because a source told me that she didn't choose not to be full time for Corey, but she was definitely teed up. And they don't want people in relationships. So maybe it was like she was teed up, but when Corey couldn't be on it, it just didn't make sense. And they just pulled back altogether. I'm curious if we'll even see her make an appearance. She very much wanted to be a reality star, wants to be a reality star. The vlogs certainly indicate that. Personally, I think she has a great personality for it. It does seem she chose her relationship because we know that, especially with new people, we saw it with Jenny, the new girl from Salt Lake City, a couple of other instances where the people were very new, season, or even like the beginning of filming. Salt Lake City also had an issue. They just cut the people. Like they're not going to get involved in the racism, the homophobia, any of that. So I think Corey is a case of that. It isn't an established Bravo star. It's a new person. I believe he's on this season of Winter House. So we're going to see him there. That was already filmed. And I think that they're just going to be done with him. I think they're just going to separate from him because he liked a bunch of transphobic tweets and they just don't want to address it in any way. The question becomes, would it be better? And we've seen good conversations in Summer House, right? Like deeper than we've seen it on other reality shows, certainly like other party reality shows. The question becomes, would it have been worth it to have him and have an open dialogue about it? Or would it become a situation where people would have give canned answers? Goodness forbid they should be canceled. So it wouldn't have been a unique dialogue and Bravo just was like, this is not what this show's about kind of thing.
I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to me because what I can't quite piece together is that we had heard that there were these transphobic likes, whatever, from his social media behavior before we saw them on Watch What Happens Live together. And then like on Watch What Happens Live, they were putting them in the spotlight. It very much seemed like Bravo was teeing Sam up for the spotlight. So like the timing just is weird to me. Like I don't quite understand how that all happened.
Well, we know they prefer single people because they have enough people who are coupled up. They have Kyle and Amanda, they have Paige and Craig. They have enough of that. So I think that it would have been good to have Corey and Sam because it is such a new relationship that we would have seen all their warts and bumps in the road. But since they can't have him, it's like having Sam there with a boyfriend who can't be there would give us another person laying in a bed. Sam was like very dynamic and out there. And yes, she could have given us energy, but people want to see hookups and everything.
Yeah, of course they do. They want to see that sexual attention within the house.
In her vlog, Gabby was with them out to dinner. So they're still good. Gabby is back full time. Maya and Chris, I mean, they've been in the city every week posting. So again, I'm not saying we won't see them at a party or something, but they're really like not, which is a shame. I think Chris should have gotten another go, especially because we need guys. And with the two new guys, I think Chris probably could have blended in well.
And we've heard from cocktailers, I think everyone kind of agrees. They want to see, they thought Chris should have gotten another shake at it.
I think so. I think it's going to be a good season. I'm hearing it's good. I'm hearing the new people are exciting. They're meshing well. We know Ciara's hooking up with one of the new guys, so there's going to be mess, and we're going to like it.
Love it.
What about OC?
Well, Vicky's back.
Vicky's back. What did you think?
So I did not see her. I think she was on Watch What Happens Live.
She was actually really good on Watch What Happens Live. And you and I admittedly are not her biggest fans. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. But I always liked the Tres Amigas together. Like, I really think they just have, like, such fun energy and, like, really bounce off each other together. So I was, I think, happy to see her. She wasn't the, like, I just really, really did not like the side of Vicky that we saw when she went on the girls' trip. Like, she was crying and boring and, like, bleh.
She seems to be in a good place. She was very jovial on Watch What Happens Live. It was actually funny because Andy goes, so Steve Lodge is in the media saying that you called him. She's like, yeah. I mean, we were drunk. Me, Shannon, and Tamara, we called everybody. We called Don. We called Brooke. We called all my ex-boyfriends. And she was like, listen, I have a new boyfriend. He's awesome. He has no interest in being famous. So I think she's in a really good place. I will take her as a friend of. I think she'll come in. She'll stir the pot. It'll be enough of her. For me, I'm enjoying this season. It's old school Housewives for me. I'm not mad at it. I don't think it's the most exciting season ever. I think you have Shannon and Gina desperately trying to keep some of their life private. I get it as a person. Doesn't make for the best reality TV. We know that something was going on with Shannon and John. We posted about it in real time as they were filming, and then they broke up after. So I think people are thinking it's some huge, egregious thing that John did. I just think it's more like the relationship wasn't great. Like he wasn't okay, as an example, you see Eddie, and Eddie and Tamara are very devoted to each other. Eddie
Yeah.
rides for his wife. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think that John is kind of along for the ride. I think he likes the fame. I think he likes the attention, but I don't think he wants his business out there. We know that her daughter, because we spoke about this last week, is kind of problematic. She doesn't like him having girlfriends or doesn't like Shannon,
His daughter is
his
problematic.
adult daughter.
Yeah.
So like that
Yeah.
causes tension in their relationship. It's not being mentioned, so we know that whatever. The whole watching Gina and Travis become realtors, I have to tell you, I had my real estate license when I was in college. I literally took a 2-week course in the summer and got it. So I don't know why this is a month long. Gina is a smart enough girl. She can go do that 2-week course and become a realtor. Like she is not becoming a brain surgeon. It's too much. And it's not interesting.
Yeah.
And we have
Yeah.
watch, $1 million listing for that. I'd rather watch
I
MJ selling real estate. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I watched, you know what I loved? I catch up on Watch What Happens Live, like when I'm like folding laundry, like from the week before, and I watched the one with Tamra and Emily. And like I've heard Emily's come on Two Teas with in a pod, and like their friendship, like I am absolutely loving. Like they're
Yes.
super fun together, and like it was just interesting too. Like hearing Tamara say on Watch What Happens Live, like clarifying with about the whole thing with Ryan, that she's like, she's like, I love Jen. I want better for her. It's not about the fact like
Well,
that
I mean,
Ryan, like
so much
it's
has come out. Now I just saw there was we posted a bunch. I mean, he was part of the
right.
whole mortgage '08 crash. His name is named
Yes.
in lawsuits and stuff. This is not
Yeah.
speculation. It's public.
And not it,
Elder
like you guys
abuse.
like federal
Yeah,
federal
federal.
lawsuits like Southern District of New York, like serious financial federal stuff.
And then I saw something about elder abuse. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are like creepy
Mm-mm.
people who target elderly people and somehow have them sign
Like
stuff
Jen
over.
Shaw.
I think even deeper than that. I didn't really look into it, but it just real creepy, illegal, bad stuff. So I think that Tamra is noting the cheating because that's part of it, right? Bad
Yeah.
people usually are bad in many ways. I thought it was a little corny that like Eddie asked those questions and then they gave Ryan, Jen's boyfriend, what was he wearing? It was like Ed Hardy circa 2002,
Ugh.
like the platform to just explain it away and talk about how much he loves her and is going to marry her. And he just wants the television. And, Jen knows who he is. If she chooses to be with him and chooses to ignore it, she's a big girl. She could do so. That's her business. But these are all, nobody has to prove anything to her. She could Google his name as we did and as our followers and cocktailers did. And she could read all of the stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have a moral compass, and that's that on that.
Jen, if you're listening, we will give you a cocktail party subscription for free so you can read the research that we have done.
Yes.
But I do actually, like, I actually am really kind of happy that it feels like an old school Housewives season.
Yes.
And that it's not like, ba-boom, ba-boom, like every time. And there's like the FBI is storming the Sprinter van, like kind of stuff. Like, it has been fun. And like, it's been about the friendships,
And
right?
it's
And
also
it's
been
been,
about the scenery. Like a lot of the
yes.
housewife shows, I know for myself when I watch OC, it it's they always zoom in with the sun setting or rising and the beach, and they
Surfers.
always go to eat at these like really nice, yeah, like
Yeah.
it's got that vibe. You get that with New York, you get that with Beverly Hills, and you get that with OC. You're not
Yeah.
getting that in Potomac, you're not getting that in Atlanta. Salt Lake City, you get that. Which,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, the Salt Lake City trailer should be coming out today.
Ooh, exciting.
Yes. So we're going to see. I hear it's a messy season, which we like to hear. A lot of followers yelled at me for saying that I'm okay with Mary being a friend of. She's so crazy, guys. I know she's a bad person, but there's a lot of bad people on Bravo. She doesn't have any indictments against her yet. So,
Well, and when you run a church, there's like you can skirt all kinds of tax laws.
yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, cocktail
So
party. So next week we will have on, can we share who we're going to have on? Because I'm excited.
Yes, we can.
We're going to have
We
on
are having
MJ from Shaz, who
Yay.
was, when I had Amanda with my OG account, when I had like 300 followers, MJ followed me and she would just comment on like all the stories and stuff. She's a real Bravo super fan, which is why this episode is going to be fun because we'll talk a little bit about her and then we will just jump into her opinions. I, of course, want to ask about Mike from Shaz and what her relationship.
Yeah.
I wonder how much she gives us on that. But stay tuned. I think it's going to be a great episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. And till next time.
We love you guys.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Just want to ask you guys a favor, just getting kicked off. So many people have been asking us to do this podcast. So please do subscribe. And if you've subscribed, go to your podcast app and hit those 3 little dots to share with your friends, but only friends who like good tea, because the ones who don't care about tea, then like forget them. And don't forget, find us on Instagram at Bravo and Cocktails _ and check out the website because some great tea gets put there daily that would get us kicked off of Instagram. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next time.